And we are live. What is happening, everybody? How are you all doing today? Thank you guys. Welcome back to my live stream. Simply happy to have you. As always, if give me a shout out to make sure sound is good. If this is your first time here, my name is James Jackson. I am a filmmaker out here in Philadelphia, and I love talking about gear. I love talking about the art of filmmaking, and I like sharing my knowledge and learning from other people and helping the community grow. So thank you guys for joining. Today is going to be the final stream of 2025. So I figured it would be fun to do a recap of the gear of the cameras that were announced, but some of more of the famous, some of the more fun things that were announced too. Some of the what the fuck stuff that was announced, and also just sort of recap and sort of say what was the best for you guys, the best of 2025. I'm actually going to have some polling going out in terms of cameras, and then we're going to try to do a live poll. That depends on how many people actually show up today. Early Merry Christmas to everybody here. For all of my fellow Jewish people, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. And if there's holidays I'm missing at this time period, I'm totally apologizing right now. But also, Happy New Year. So let's check the chat and see how's it going. We got Carolyn San Diego coming in. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Nacho night here. Oh man, nachos sound delicious right now. I would like to do some nacho nights. I'm right now enjoying a nice apple cider with a little extra in it. Get relaxed, get a little relaxed. That's all. So, but yeah. So today, let's go. Let's like I said, we're gonna try to have some fun. I want to sort of get the best of what everybody's sort of feeling on that. But let's start off with some news. I got I got a new set of lens that I got on loan actually. And Caroline, since you are the only one here right now, I'll let you on a little secret. I'll let you on the secret. It is the Loawa Nanomorphs. But yeah, I guess Aiden's is also getting in on it too. Hey, Jay, thank you for joining, man. Yes, hold on, man. You're jumping a little bit ahead. I'm about to get right into it. I wanted to let you know I got a set of lenses on loan that I'm going to be shooting with the Pyxis. I've been shooting with the Pyxis for a while, and I am very, very excited. I'll give you a hint if again, I think it's just you and Aiden's. So, but I won't give you a hint. I'll just tell you right now. Loawa sent me over the Nanomorph LF85, and I've got the 42, which is on here. Which also reminds me just how much of a bummer it is right now, because originally I was actually going to put the Pyxis and stream and use that as my main web camera and film like Anamorphic. However, for some reason, Ecamm would not show the Pyxis, would not detect the Pyxis video-wise. It detected the audio that was coming from the Pyxis, and FaceTime saw the Pyxis and saw it as a web camera, just like it detected the A10 Mini. But for some reason, Ecamm, no matter how hard I tried and everything I tried to switch, I made sure everything was on. I made sure used as a web camera and everything was on. But Ecamm specifically would not pick up the video signal, even though it picked up the audio signal, and FaceTime was picking up the video and audio signal. So, and I couldn't, for the life of me, figure out how to switch it to it. So, unfortunately, I am not going to be able to. I wanted to film this last stream on Anamorphic. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. But yes, I got the Loawa Nanomorphs LFs. I got them on a little bit of a loan, and I got them for a project that's at the beginning of next year. I am really excited to try that out. So, since Aiden's sort of kind of leaded into it, Yes, there was a firmware update, an early Christmas gift, if you would like to put it, that Blackmagic put out today. I got the notification. Also, my contact at Blackmagic also sent it out to me as well. But there is a new firmware update for a bunch of the ones, including the Pyxis. So a lot of people are talking about the pre-recording mode, which is really, really cool. However, for me at least, I'll just be completely honest with you. For me at least, I personally feel the biggest one that I'm really, really excited is just for the media space alone, is the fact that there's ad support for inhibiting proxy recording. And this seems to be only for the Pyxis 12K. Essentially what this means is now we have the ability to disable proxy recording. Which gives us way more of our media and more of our data back. And I'm so excited by that. Let me actually put out, if I believe, so if I go grab the Pyxis real quick, bear with me for a second. Let me run power real quick to this. There we go. Let's turn this on. So if I remember, there's like an hour difference of media storage, at least in 4K, if you turn this on or not. So I believe it's on yeah, here it is. So right now I'm looking at it with the proxy recording off in Q5 4K. It's 4 hours and 13 minutes and 58 seconds. That says for a 512 gigabyte CF Express card. If I turn proxy recording on, it goes to 3 hours, 43 minutes, and 43 seconds. So essentially you get an additional 30, at least in 4K, you get an additional 30 minutes back. Now let's jump to 8K and let's go to, let's say 8K, and let's do a constant bit rate of 8 to 1. 8K constant bit rate 8 to 1 with the proxy recording on, it's 41 minutes and 43 seconds on a 512 gigabyte CF Express card. If I turn the proxy recording off, you get one additional minute. So again, it depends on obviously this depends on the codec and everything that you guys, the codec and the compression ratio that you guys use. But that's still a big, again, especially in 4K, this is a pretty huge deal. The other cool thing that I thought was cool is that it adds a dynamic fan control when camera is recording. So now there's an option where you can basically find a way to reduce the fan noise as it's recording, which is cool. But keep in mind that also increases the heat, and that may create problems. So that's something that you want to be careful of. Let's go over some of the other features that it has. It adds supports for 4-channel audio recording, which is really dope. Support for mono headphone monitoring, awesome. It adds 0% option for frame guides on opacities, which is cool. That way it gives us to clear it really quickly. Adds new camera control REST API commands. I haven't dealt with the API, so I got to dive deep more into that. We talked about the proxy recording, improved Blackmagic cloud functionality, and improved B4 lens capabilities. So a lot of great new things coming in it. There was also an update to DaVinci Resolve. However, it's really a lot of fixes to a lot of very specific things, but nothing like really major. And I didn't feel like it really needed to discuss. But yeah. But the Pyxis 12K gets pre-recording, which is awesome, but also you can turn off proxy recording, which to me, that's the bigger thing, because that means there's more media space for me and more opportunities for that. And yes, this is the Loawa 42 millimeter anamorphic lens. I've been testing it out around the house with the family. So I think this is, come on, I know the lady's pretty, but come back to me for a second. There we go. Thank you. So Christmas time, so we get obviously Christmas decorations. So that's a great option to try out the Anamorphic. So I'm I've also got a project early in the beginning of the year that I'll be able to use these on as well. So thank you. All right, so let's reach out. So working on bringing some massively underexposed film stock back from the dead. Denoising with steroids in DaVinci. Yeah, definitely have fun with that, man. You could be undesqueezed. Okay, I don't know what exactly. Are the Nanomorphs full frame cameras? Yes, they're large format. They're large format cameras. These lenses right here will cover the ARRI Alexa LF, which is slightly bigger than standard 35 millimeter full frame. But that was, so yeah, that was the 8K, which makes, again, that was the 8K and that was in constant quality, which, not constant quality, constant bit rate, Trevor. So yeah, I can understand that because when you compare proxy recording to 16-bit compressed down to 12-bit 8K RAW, it's not going to make that much difference. It does, however, Trevor, make a huge difference in, as I mentioned, I don't know if you were here, but it makes a huge difference in the 4K mode where you could get 30 minutes back. As I showed, you could get 30 minutes back from the proxy recording. So the higher the compression, the more data space you recover. Yes, basically yes. The higher the data compression, the more space you will get. So like I said, 4K, and also the lower, the smaller that the file sizes are without proxies, the more you will get back. So if you shoot 4K, Q5, you will, like I said, you'll get like 30 minutes back. So it looks way too small to be full frame anamorphic. That's actually one of the cool things about these, is the fact is how light and compact these guys are. But they're, I'll give you guys a little tease, because I'm going to try my best to get out some videos on this, just a little thoughts, initial impressions on these next week. But Loawa was very, very meticulous of designing this. One, again, it's very compact, but two, it's actually, it's not clinical, but it's not clinical, but it's clean. And what I mean by that is there's not a lot of, there's less funk. I think Anamorphic on a budget described it. There's less funks. There's less funky things happening on a regular basis. What I love about it is that you still get that anamorphic, you definitely get that anamorphic look and that anamorphic feel in terms of the depth, in terms of how the compression plays with the D-squeeze. You still get the oval, bokeh, and I would say the flaring, you still get the flaring streak. It's a little, but again, it's a lot more fine. It's a little bit more fine and more controlled. But the big thing for me is the fact that there's those other flaws that I'm not necessarily, I love anamorphic, but I'm not really a fan of. Like when you change your focal length, not your focal length, you change your focal length. The squeeze factor can like adjust as you're changing your focal length, which can be really, really annoying. There is definitely breathing. It's an anamorphic lens, but the breathing is way more controlled than especially a lot more budget-friendly anamorphics. And the image just looks great. It looks like you can, it has a, again, not a clinical, but I'll say a modern look with anamorphic characteristics. And I think that's what I like about it. Whereas like, I feel like I can use this on so many more projects than say something like, I'll go ahead and say it, the Blazar Remises, which are have a lot more funk and a little bit more niche than my liking. These feel like I could use these on Like, what if I want to get more creative? But if I just want to have that anamorphic look, but without all the craziness about anamorphs, with especially budget anamorphics, these are great. I think they're about $1,500 per lens, which compared to a lot of the other anamorphics that have come out, still may be a bit high. But if you compare these two, like, I'll say these are cleaner. These are, I think, I won't say cleaner. They're just as clean to me, and there's also, it's fully sharp, even wide open. As someone who actually used the Atlas Mercuries on a short film, these are just as clean as the Atlas Mercuries, and the Atlas Mercuries are like $5K per lens. And I believe the Mercuries were used on season 2 of Andor, if I remember correctly, because I remember seeing pictures of this. But overall, I'm trying to say is, if you're looking for something that can be used in a lot more variety of things, that has has modern cleanliness, but still has the anamorphic characteristics, this is a great option, and it's at a good price. So, I love to know what the optimal coverage circle actually is. I believe they said in the Anamorph it's like a 44 millimeter coverage, but Anamorphic on a budget said, and I think he confirmed it by putting it on there, but it covers the Ariel Alexa LF. It fully covers what the length of the Ariel Alexa LF, which also probably means it could potentially cover VistaVision as well. It might. It's Trevor, I can tell you right now, this is definitely not a Super 35, because I believe Loawa has another series of the Nanomorphs that are Super 35. These, and it says even here, large format. These are specifically designed to cover full frame. They're designed to cover full frame. Yeah, so let's see here. But you'll notice lots of optical imperfections on the edge. I gotta look over it. The thing I noticed was the pin cushion distortion. That's definitely there. However, if I'm gonna be honest, I mean, it just looked the edges just look soft, and which gives that more vignette or more focal point in the center, which is fine. That's really the only thing I noticed. I don't see too much, I'll say, funk on the edge of the lenses, but I'm gonna be using them more often. The squeeze factor will absolutely change when you zoom in or out. No, they don't, Trevor. That's one of the reasons why I asked my Connect at Loawa to send me these, because one of the things that I know is like this actually, the squeeze factor doesn't change with this lens. The squeeze factor stays the same. They're still breathing, but the squeeze factor doesn't change. And in fact, let me, actually no, I can't show it, because I like a happy home, and it's shots of my wife, and yeah, can't show it. So unfortunately, I'm gonna get more shots, but I was looking back at the footage and the squeeze factor did not change, Trevor. So yeah, $1,500 for an anamorphic is so cheap. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I guess so many people are used to the Blazars, which are slightly cheaper. I think the Blazars are like $1,300, so they're a couple $100 cheaper. And there's you got to look at, and then things like Zr coming out with a bunch of anamorphics that are cheaper than this. So yeah, I mean, look, full frame anamorphics, yes, this is actually considered small for a large format, but definitely, but yeah, it's a great lens, and I can't wait to sort of put out some more content. Atlas missed this window to be a huge success. They took too long to bring lenses to market at a lower price. Yeah, I mean, look, I think they're still getting notoriety in Hollywood. Maybe like more on the independent and prosumer level, sure. Maybe. I think the fact is that Blazar really took advantage of the content creators here on YouTube, and um, and people have just been loving the Blazar remixes. They're cool. I'm gonna be honest, and maybe this is like controversial because so many YouTubers just like whenever they do, it's like, oh, we talk about the Blazar remixes. They're all right. I think they're all right. They're just a little bit too. They're just a little bit too. It it's there's characteristics, but their characteristics do borderline on the point of where it's character and cheap. And whereas like these, like I said, these have again a lot of more modern, so there's some sacrifice of that anamorphic character that someone like Cam Mackey loves, but I think for people that again want to try anamorphic but don't want to get the full anamorphic experience, or say the full character, the whole character of an anamorphic, of funky anamorphics, this is a great option. And again, like I said, everything I talked about is like the squeeze factor and everything is great. Have I used any stabilized lenses on my Pyxis? If so, is it better than gyro? No, because unfortunately, L mount doesn't have a lot of stabilized lenses, and that's one of my biggest complaints about the L mount. Is that I get it. It's because Lumix is one of the top contributors to the L mount alliance. So, and they're like, we have IBIS, we have like the best IBIS in the world, so we don't really need to focus on stabilized images. And the one, literally, I think most of them is just like the 24 to 105, and they're mostly telephoto lenses like 70 to 200. I think only one prime has stabilization, and I think it's like that 500 millimeter that came out like a year ago. Outside of that, there's like almost no stable. I'm talking good stable. And let me say, when I say stabilized lenses, I'm talking good stabilized lenses. There's maybe a few that have variable aperture, but ones that have constant aperture, there's not a lot. So unfortunately, I don't have stabilized lenses to use because the L mount doesn't have that, and I really don't want to go back to EF. Only on very specific things like maybe the 7200, and that. So maybe I'll get that, and maybe that's what I'll try stabilization. But again, now we're talking through an adapter. We're not talking IBIS. We're not talking stabilized lenses from L mount, which is what I want to see more. I want to see more lenses that have stabilized lenses. So I'll wrap up with Trevor. Let's see here. I still preferred older, messier anamorphic glasses. Again, yeah, not a problem. And I'm definitely kudos. I've had my experience on them, and then like I said, the Mercuries are like a good representation of high quality messy anamorphic lenses. The only problem with the Mercuries is that to sort of get sort of that clean, sort of clean it up and get really that sharpness, you got to drop down to f5.6, f8, which normally isn't a big deal, but on the Pyxis 12K, that's when you start running into diffraction. So I would have to go more wide open with something like the Mercuries to make sure I still have that sharpness before the image gets too soft due to diffraction. So it's a balance in that. So the Pyxis 12K is kind of a balance in that. Panasonic IBIS is very, very good. Yeah, look, it's the best. We know that, and that's cool. I prefer stabilized lenses, And unfortunately, there isn't that much with the L-mount Alliance. So there was another update that actually came out, but it wasn't public. So Blackmagic actually also updated, did a private beta, or it's not a private, I don't know if it's private or not, but they did another beta update to the cinema camera 6K and for that autofocus. And I've been testing around. The key things that you need to know is that the continuous autofocus is now snappier. The face detection is much better at being sticky and sticking to the subject. And then finally, the main thing that they added with that is that if you hold the focus button that's on the back of the camera, it actually will lock the focus of where it was last looked, so you can then move it and then release it, and then it will start focusing again. Which is, in theory, it sounds like a great thing to have, especially as this continues to go. In practice, I found that honestly, just tapping continuous autofocus, using the continuous autofocus, and just tapping on the screen, delivered better result, because when you anytime you release the focus button to start the autofocus again, it does hunt quite a bit for like a second. It does like this awful hunting, and it does it every single time you use it. So again, it's still beta, so they're still working through it, but those are some of the things that I found, and that was using this lens, which is Sigma's 28-70 f2. But the autofocus, if you saw my video in the last one, was really good. I think it's slightly better now. I will say right now, I would personally put it at, I would put the face detection. I would put the face detection autofocus up there with the S5 2X and the S5 II. I think they have. I think their autofocus is pretty much the same, but I would put it up there right now. That this autofocus is just as good as the S5 II and S5 2X from Panasonic. So you guys can take that how you will. Sharpness is not priority for classic anamorphic glass. You have to be okay with that. I mean, I could, or if I'm not happy with the project, I'm not happy with the project or how it looks. Again, I don't think people should be like determined like this is true anamorphic now. It's just like everything on here. It's about like it's your perspective, and what is your perspective, and what is the perspective of the story that you're telling. Like for me, that works for me in very, very specific type of projects. But I would also love the manipulation of depth and the way anamorphic lenses look without dealing with all that extra funkiness. That's me personally, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's also nothing wrong with anything having classic. It's just about what works best for you. So I don't knock anybody that uses that. I just don't think classic anamorphic just should be like biblical. It's like, this is an art form. This whole thing is an art form, and you should just pursue what works for you. I heard really good things about the autofocus. Can't wait for the Pyxis support. Me neither, man. I can't wait. Because, the moment it comes to the Pyxis 12K, good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. Did you try the new pre-capture? I have not tried the new pre-capture. I will give it, I got to get a reason to. Right now, there's been a lot of things happening in the home. There's a lot of personal things happening in the home, and I'll just leave it at that. So haven't had a chance at that. So let's continue on. We gotta talk about something, especially anybody with a drone license, especially anybody that owns a DJI drone. There's a lot of good things that happened this year, but there's also this looming cloud that looks like it's finally coming ahead for us, and that is the fact that it looks like the ban on DJI products is going to go through. Now, I know Brandon Washington and the Creative Fam with Cam Mackey did like a live stream and discuss, and they did a lot of video discussing this, but there's a couple things that were just either misunderstood or just not quite accurate. So I put this out, and also I want to cut to this article that I'm about to show that was discussing with, I believe he is the director of global policies for DJI, and we'll go into that in just a second. But let's be clarify a couple things. Number one, this is not all DJI products. So this ban is specifically going towards drone and drone technology, drone products, drone technology. That's where this so-called ban is going to happen. So if you have an Osmo, if you have a Rodent, RS gimbal, any of the gimbals, you have an Osmo, an action cam, you got a power station, their carpet cleaning product, you're good. Those are still going to be able to be bought and purchased in the U.S. Now, let's cut to this article, which does, I think, a pretty good breakdown of what is happening. So, so the DJI ban is coming out. iPhoneito did an interview. He was the one that did an interview with the director of global policies. So, basically, what's going to happen is that by December 23rd, if there's no audit, and let me just go ahead and say, there's no chance that there's going to be an audit happening. Just because Congress is in recess, and two, it would, in order for an audits to really be forced, President Trump would have to be to give the decision. Unfortunately, there's a very high improbability he will, given the fact that his family is going to be directly beneficial from companies that are competitors of DJI. So I'll just leave that at that. So back to the article. So they have a best case. Basically, the short answer of this article is the fact that on December 23rd, any new products of DJI will no longer be able to be purchased or sold in the United States, because they will basically be put on this list, and they will not get the certification that they would need to sell their drones in the United States. That's basically the gist of it. Now, there's a looming question that is out there right now, which is what is talk about the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. So I think this here put it down. Essentially, the best case scenario is if DJI they don't do a retroact. Basically, I think it's the FAA doesn't retroactively ban products. So if the best case scenario basically is it's only newer products. Also, regardless if it's retroactive or it's not, you can still fully fly and fully operate your drones. If you have a DJI drone right now, you can still fly the drone. And if you can find, I think the issue is that if you can find repairs in your shops, you should be able to. Sorry about that. But you should be able to still. The problem is that if you try to get a replacement, or if it gets damaged to where you need to replace it, that's where it may become a problem. But essentially, but you'll still be able to fly it. You just won't get any of the new tech from it. So if it's retroactively banned, however, basically all DJI drone products, whether if it's not net released or if it was already certified, then they could be removed, and basically you won't be able to purchase any DJI drones in the U.S. So that's and basically the complete removal of shelves in the United States. So that's currently the worst case scenario. So what should you do? Now, obviously, if there's drones out, there's like there's drones. You can find Mavic 5 Pro, Mini. You can find Mini 5 Pros and also Mavic 4 Pros as well. But the prices are just ridiculously jacked up. Like I was looking at an Air 3S just the other day, and it's like $1,900. It is the Fly More combo, just to be fair. So it's not. It doesn't feel like it's too up, but I mean it's still way overpriced for what it is. So what the first thing you can do is like you still can go on Amazon and try to find these drones, and you can purchase them if you want. I think B&H actually has a few of the newer drones on their website right now. So you could try to see if try to get it purchase them. Because those are already been purchased, those already have the certification. So go through. However, because if it's retroactive, then they have to completely remove Best Buy and anybody that sells these products. They have to remove them from the United States. So you could get it now, which is something that I was considering. However, there's also a caution that you should be careful, because let's look. I'm not here to get political. I have my political views, but this is about cameras and stuff. However, this is about us and cameras, and especially people that fly drones. I am a Part 107. I have Part 107 certification, and I fly drones commercially as well. So this does impact me, and probably a lot of you, it impacts you. I want to make this very, very clear. Both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party voted to put this ban in, and President Biden signed this into law. I'm putting all this in perspective that both parties want to see DJI products not being as easily accessible. And I bring all this up because there could be also a growing push to basically stop the use of DJI drones in the future. That's not what can happen right now, but this is something that you should be keeping in mind in the future, that if you go in and make a massive purchase, especially at these high prices for these DJI drones, there could be a future where you're not even allowed to really use these drones in the United States. It's not today, and it's not going to even be when this ban happens. It could be later down the line. It's just something that if you're going to make an investment like this, these are options that you kind of have to take in consideration, since there's a lot of the American-based drone companies been lobbying heavily for them to do something with DJI. So, not a fun day. I still have my Mavic 2 Pro, and that still works perfectly fine for me. So, I'm probably just going to use that for the time, and until they say, nope, you can't use DJI drones anymore here, which maybe sooner rather than later. Let's see. It looks like you guys are still talking about the Anamorphics, which is cool. All right. So, again, let's then move on. Let's talk about, hold on, Trevor says, it's like they shouldn't be able to pass this kind of legislation. I mean, Congress has the power to do this. This is that's the reason for them, is that they're the people to make laws. There definitely should be pushback on it, and, definitely look at your representatives and see who voted for it, and then definitely, if this is something that continues to be an issue, they continue to try to push this to where it's just making DJI obsolete in the United States. Make yourself known for in the coming elections. Time to scratch the labels off your drone, I guess. Look, the problem is the FAA has drone, like, you still got to register with the FAA. So they know which drones you're flying, and they know what's up there. So it's not like you can hide it. You can't. 100%, Trevor. It's 100% anti-competitiveness. It's basically, it's like, hey, we have the money to sort of bend the rules that in our favor. It's there, and yeah, they're trying to pump up companies that have investments. Absolutely, 100%, man. And the thing is, it's like, look, look, people. It's funny how so many of these politicians and a lot of financial gurus to always talk about, we want to keep, this is a capitalistic country. We need to take this and make this as pure capitalistic as possible. Yet we have companies, multi-billion, some trillion-dollar companies that spend millions of dollars to give themselves a competitive edge and not play with the rules of capitalism. Because, look, if your product was really that good that could rival something like DJI, then do it. Then put the product. Then make that product. You shouldn't. It's the same thing with with cars right now. Like, if you go to these Chinese companies that have cars out there, there's some cars that you just can't get, and they are significantly better than a lot of the American cars that are out here. But we can't get access to them because unfortunately, our companies cannot compete because we have this society where everything has to be overexpensive, and there's got to be a constant. Prices always got to go up instead of trying to say, hey, what's the betterment of the society, and maybe putting some of that greed on hold. We're in this predicament where now, parts and stuff are super expensive, so everything gets charged more. I'm diving into a rabbit hole, but the point I'm trying to make is that, yeah, look, it does, like, forcing me to look at your products is not enticing me to go buy your products. Like I said, my drone is coming on to 8 years old now, and I'm still flying it. It still delivers great quality. So if this is supposed to be a way of getting me to buy the products, definitely not. Congress is yes. You're going to Trevor. Yes, true, man. You're about to make me go down a rabbit hole. I'm not trying not to go down the rabbit hole. All right. I'm not trying to follow. I'm not trying to go down the rabbit hole to Wonderland. But but yes, man. You said it. You said it. The ironic thing is that these companies get weaker without competition, and in the long run, the quality gap widens at 100%. And eventually, you can't even allow those products in because they'll crush established companies. I don't agree. But try to sell a product in China. Again, that's credible because I'll just say this right now. I don't know the policy and how things work in China, so. I'm only talking about products that's here in the United States. So I can't speak on it, but Robert, you may have a point. But yeah, exactly, man. The cars were the perfect example. But yeah, it's I've been heavily, I'll be honest, I was heavily thinking about buying because I've been looking at the Mini 5 Pro. I was getting ready to pull the trigger, and I'm just like, look. I made it very clear that I'm not going to FOMO on anything that I don't have a plan for. And just because there's pressure for me to buy, I'm not going to do it. I guess I'm just going to miss out on the drones, and it's going to suck, but I still have a very capable and operable drone. And look, I'm going to go in 2026 with that mindset. So speaking of 2026 and the new year, we're getting ready to wind down this year. Obviously, let's go to something a little more fun, a little bit more. So, as we all know, there was some cameras announced this year. So, I am going to, I'm thinking about putting up a poll and just sort of like going back to the different cameras from each company, and then we'll have like a little tournament style and seeing you guys vote and you guys say which one was the best camera of that particular manufacturer for the year, and then they'll go into a final round going against the other companies. So because Blackmagic really only announced the Pyxis 12K, the Pyxis 12K immediately just goes into the final round. The next one is going to be Canon, and of course, I believe it's only two. Well, two major ones. I think there's only two major ones. It was the R6 Mark III, which was just announced, and then the C50, which both of them share the same sensor. But I guess you could factor in something. I could throw in something like the R50V, but I don't know if that's really a fair comparison to others, because if I remember correctly, the R1 and the R5 II, they came out last year. So correct me in chat. Correct me here in chat if I'm wrong, but if I remember correctly, the R5 and the R1, the R5 II and the R1 came out last year. So the C50 and the R6 III were the ones that came out this year. And I'll give a couple minutes so the chat to catch up. And then after that, I'm gonna put a poll, and I'm gonna start that poll. So, and you guys tell me between obviously, if you don't have the camera, if you have the camera, great, you can pick and choose. Or if you don't have the camera, obviously most of us don't have the camera. If you don't have the camera, just go with the one that you feel is the better of two. They both serve, while sharing the same sensor, they both serve two different purposes. So I don't see anything else in the chat, so I'm gonna start this poll. So between the Canon R6 Mark III and the Canon C50, let me know which ones do you think is the best of 2025. This is going to be interesting since they share almost a lot of the same features, but obviously there's a bit of a price difference. We're gonna get to Panasonic next. If there's any Nikon shooters, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Zr is the only camera that was announced this year. So yeah, so right now we're just trying to decide which one of the Canons are going to come in. So wow, C50s. Wow, the C50 may come in with the sweep. That would be dope. All right. So let's check it back in with you guys. Let's see here. Angelo, man, as always, again, you're in the Netherlands. I always appreciate you, especially given the fact that it's almost midnight over there in the Netherlands. So you staying up for me, again, you a real one, and I really appreciate you, man. King, what's up, man? What are some end of the year purchases I'm making? So right now, my purchases are gifts for my family from this point on. I've already made my end of the year purchases. So the big one was, of course, the Pyxis 12K. That was my big purchase for the year. I did some Black Friday purchases, but really it was just to sort of gear out. The big one for me was this doctor's bag from Arco. This is really, really sturdy bag. It's water resistant, dust resistant. So I really love that and appreciate that. That's really, I've given the fact of how the economic climate is this year, and going into 2026, my focus is sort of just to hone on what I definitely need. I'm still going to work with different companies. So if companies send me something, it's very cool. But honestly, for me, it's just I've got pretty much a set that I can go in for a few years and I will be good regardless of what the economic state is. Now that I have my camera for, hopefully it's the next decade, but it's for the long run. And then again, I got two different cameras that I can use as backup. Like I got my FX3. I don't plan on even with everything that was announced this year, I don't plan on moving off of the FX3 anytime soon. And I still got my cinema camera 6K. And now that I got all three of these have a B-roll option, it just makes it easier to just keep this way and keep myself out of going into insane debt. Lumix, all right. Sorry, okay, we got Lumix S1. All right, we got that coming out. All right, so the ZR. So yeah, ZR. I don't think there was anything else. So I'm going to end this poll right now since there's only 8 of us and the majority has already voted. So there's no point of going. So we're going to end the poll. Canon C50 has won Canon's round for in the sweepstakes for best cameras of the year. We are now going to move on to a new poll, if you will give me a second. But we're going to move on to what was the best Lumix camera of 2025. I believe there was of course the S1 II. There was the S1R2. Was there another one? I feel like there was another Lumix camera that came out. GH7 didn't come out this year. That was last year. I feel like there was another Lumix camera that came out. Trevor, if you're still here, let me know if there was another. Trevor, let me know. Was there another option? Or any Lumix shooters, was there another option in the besides the Lumix? Otherwise, not that. I'll just start this and get ready to go. Oh, right, the Lumix S1E. So, let's be fair. We're going to add the S1E. We're going to add the S12E or the S1E. All right. So, and now we'll get started. So, anybody that's Lumix shooters or anybody that's intrigued by any of the cameras. So now, which Lumix camera that came out this year is the best Lumix camera of 2025? Go ahead and start your votes. So, Ada says, I bought a doctor's bag from Tenba and it's such a time saver. Yes, I love the time, because one of the things, and this was something that I've just been a bad habit for so long, I would have my camera rigged out and I would just strap it into my seat, which again, it worked, but I realized that with a camera like this, especially if I'm traveling, because I take this when I go out of town with family, I was like, I need to make sure I have space for family members in the car seat, because they'll be eyebrows raising and wondering, why is there a seat taking a camera taking up a precious seat? So, yeah. So I was like, all right, let me pull the trigger and get a doctor bag. Yeah. So I couldn't afford a doctor's bag, but I found a gun bag at Costco. It's like it likes that 10 pounds shape bag, and I unarmored the interior and coagulated the okay. That's always good to find interior options. This one actually wasn't that expensive. That was about, I think, $130. It's nothing like the satchel doctor's bag. Those are up there. Obviously, it's satchel, so they're going to come with a premium price. But yeah. So Trevor says, not that I remember. Uswin H2 or GTFO. So, look, I hear you, Robert. Unfortunately, look, we have to talk about cameras that actually are existing and actually are out in the market right now, or at least they're been announced. We can't talk about a camera that's rumored to be or whatever be. We'll see. We're all hoping to see what the S1H will do. Let's see. Let's check up and see. Ooh, there was a little bit of conflict this time. So we got the S1R, three votes in. So we got just under 50% of the people watching voting. So again, if you got your chance, go ahead and get your votes on. Also, if you guys are enjoying the stream, definitely hit that like. I always appreciate the love and support that you guys give for me. But yeah, so I'll let this go a little bit longer. Let me ask you guys, what's everybody's holiday plans? This year we're hosting. We hope that we're still going to be hosting. Unfortunately, my family got some news today that may change that. We'll see. I don't know how things are going to go. So, but the current plan right now is that we will be hosting, which normally we would be going down to my mom's, but we're going to be hosting. So it's just been nonstop decorating and straightening things out and cleaning it out. So, all right, so I'm going to let this poll go for another 60 seconds. If you haven't voted in the polls yet, again, between the best Lumix camera 2025, the S1 II, the S1R2, and the S1E, which one are you guys If you haven't got a chance to vote and you have your thoughts on it, definitely leave. Let one go. Put a vote in before it closes down. Let's see here. All right. Looks like we're gonna be locked in. It doesn't look like any other votes are coming in. So I'm going to go ahead and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's close the poll. So the S1 II is the victor, and we'll move on with the C50, and the Pyxis, and the Zr for the final round. I guess we should entertain Sony. Oh boy, this is gonna be the fun one. All right, so Sony, it was the S5. Let's have a fun one with this one. What was the name of that camera, that point and shoot camera that's like $5,000? What was the name of that camera? Let's have some fun. So Sony 2025. I'm just gonna put that best. Let's do it. Best Sony 2025. So we got the A75. What was it? The RX. What was it? The RX. What was the name of that? What was the name of that camera? It was the RX. Was it the RX? It was the RX something. It was the RX something 3. I'll just put the 5K point and shoot. I'll put that. Was there another one? The RX. Sony A7. So there was Sony A7 V. There was that one. What was the other one? There was another. I feel like there was another announcement from Sony. Oh yeah, the FX2. We got the FX2. Thank you, the RX1R. So, and I think those were the 3 cameras that were announced this year. So, we got the $5,000 point and shoot. We got the A7 IV, the A7 V, which everybody was ready to dog pile, and then we got the FX2, which is the A7 IV, with a new EVF and fans. So, poll begins. Have fun with this one, because which one is Sony's best camera in 2024? The FX2, the A7 V, or the RX1R3? So I haven't known to go this way. Maybe we should have changed it. It was like, what was the most wild? Actually, we'll put out another poll just for fun. What was the wildest announcement? The biggest WTF announcement from Sony? I think we'll put that. Let's put that one out after this one. So we got 4 votes in for the FX, 2 for the FX2, 2 for the A7 IV. Alrighty then. And we got 9, so we still got, we're going to get close. Okay, 5 for the A7 IV. And so that's 5 in. I think that pretty much with 9 people only watching, if anybody wants to dive in and sort of rest scores, but I think this is about it. So I'll give it about another minute. I'll give it another minute, but it looks like the A7 V is going to be the representative of Sony's best of 2025. Let's see here. Sony, wow, Sony is wild. Sony, yeah, and thank you for that, Robert. If I had to buy a Sony, it would be a used FX6. Not a bad choice. Like I said, if I had to buy a Sony, I bought a used FX3, and I did. So I don't knock anybody. Like I said, yeah. I think it sucks for the FX2 owners that they didn't put these specs on it. It's such an interesting choice of timing. It is such an interesting choice of timing that you put out a camera that's part of your cinema, your more premium line of cameras that are more video oriented and video focused, with the air quote cinema line, and you put the old specs of the camera that you're about to announce just a few months later. So it's like people that bought the FX2, but then the A7 V comes out and it's all of a sudden has brand new specs, and it's just, I know Sony shooters or FX2 is like WTF. So, all right. I think with 10 people watching and 6 votes in, I think it's clear we can end this now. The winner is the Sony A7 V. Before we go into the final round, I'm going to add one more poll. This one we're going to have a fun one. It's like biggest Sony what the F camera. So we're going to use the same ones as before, the A7 V. We're going to do the RX1 R3, and then we're going to add the FX2. So come on, chime in for what is the biggest WTF Sony camera. RX1R is already gone. Has jumped the lead. 3 votes, 4 votes, 5 votes. Man, it's like, okay, it may be a no contest. It's like, so we'll see. There may be some hope. There's only 3 votes in. I would pick the Sony ZX300 camcorder. It's a pretty nice thing, and it's also, I think it's nice. I think I haven't really looked into the camcorders, but for people that still work in broadcast and use camcorders, it looks like a pretty solid option. Carolyn says RX1R as the lead. Again, we got 4 votes in with 10 people watching. So if you haven't voted, what is Sony's biggest what the fuck camera of 2025? The camera that gave you the biggest head scratch, the camera that made your question, if you're a Sony shooter, maybe questioned your loyalty. I don't think I have any Sony shooters on here on my streams. But yeah, so if you got a chance to go to photo, I thought it would just be fun because it's like, when you think about it, look, are they in the vacuum of things? Are these cameras bad cameras? No. You can go and shoot. They all have good image quality. They all have unique things about them that work for something or not. They're solid cameras. But there's always something that is a head scratcher. and it's like make you think what was Sony thinking with this product lineup. So it looks like it's good. I think we're gonna just go ahead and end this poll. I think by unanimous decision, the biggest Sony what the fuck camera of 2025 is the RX1R3. Yeah. I think these are Sony definitely needs to go back to the drawing board for 2026. All right, people. We got our finals. So we're gonna start this poll. I'm gonna go in and I want you to think about it. What is the best camera to you? The best camera of 2025. We got the Blackmagic Pyxis 12K. We have the Canon C50. We have the Nikon Zr. We have the Sony A7 IV. Oh, I can only do 4. So since everybody was since we're poo-pooing Sony and it was very clear, Sony, we're gonna just knock you out anyway, and we're gonna give the Lumix S1 III. So poll is now out. Go ahead between the Pyxis 12K, the Canon C50, the Nikon Zr, and the Lumix S1 II. Choose what your favorite camera or the camera that you think deserves camera of the year. We got votes coming in. All right. This is gonna be a quick one, given the. So, all right. Can Nikon take over? There's 2 votes. With 8 people still here, 2 votes. Can Nikon overcome it? I'm shocked that nobody's choosing the S1 II though. That's Trevor. Really, Trevor? Not even you? You're not going with the Lumix? Shocking. All right. Again, we got. I think we're pretty much because I think all but 2 people have voted. I'm gonna give it a chance so they can go and vote and maybe that can change the tide. Again, you haven't a chance to vote. Go ahead and vote. We got the Blackmagic Pyxis 12K, the Canon C50, the Nikon Zr, the Lumix S1 II. This is the most scientific polls of all scientific polls. So this is the most accurate polls of all time. So. You got be a part of it. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. This is all just for fun. All right. So get the final vote. Call the vote in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're going to end this poll. And the Pyxis 12K is the victor of the James Jackson Films Best Camera of 2025. We've got the Nikon Zr coming in second with 33% of the vote. Canon with 17% of the vote. And Lumix S1 II, even with Lumix shooters in here, got a big fat donut. That was interesting. Let's see here. So let us go to the chat and see where we. Let's see here. I could get 3 ZRs for the start productions. I'm assuming you're talking about for the price of the XR. Totally agree, man. I had the S1 II and the Pyxis 12K at the same time. When comparing both side by side, I had to return the Lumix. You didn't have to do Lumix like that. I mean, that was, yeah, but you're right. Look, man, the Pyxis 12K, it's just different. the image quality is just different. It's just different. Still an amazing camera. Yes, and let's be clear. I even though, look, we all know my biases. I'm not shy of my bias towards the Pyxis 12K. I've been ramming about getting this camera since it was announced, and that this was my end game. And it is looking like that is the case, that this may be my end game. Review video coming out soon. But even with all that said, let's be clear. There's so many cameras, there's so many great cameras, good cameras. Everybody's got a great camera. Everybody's got a good or great camera out right now. And it all comes down to who you are as a filmmaker, who you are as a shooter. What works for you? What if it's ecosystem? What if it's the ecosystem? What if it's the body style? What if it's the lenses that you choose? What if it's certain features like IBIS or autofocus or body design or application workflows? At the end of the day, there's so many different amazing cameras that you can't go. Don't feel bad if you got, it's like so many things that are online now that likes to knock people down for like a certain manufactured camera. I don't care. I've never cared about the brand. I just care about what works for me. And I found what works for me. And at the end of the day, it's just about finding what works for you. I didn't like the S12 image either. Returned it. Wow, okay. Aidens, I really would like to know, what was it about the S12's image that you didn't like? There were no losers in that poll. Totally, absolutely correct, Rob. There are no losers. There's no lose. To me, there's no losers at all. I can't even, like Fujifilm. I'm like we can't. There's others like Fujifilm. There's no losers. We're at a point where we're so spoiled. Nobody's making bad cameras. People are making questionable cameras, but nobody's making a bad camera anymore. And totally trust. Man, why are you dry snitching on yourself, man? So I logged into 3 accounts to make sure Pyxis get the dub. Yep, absolutely. I'm going with the I'm going with the RX1R 5 in 2026. That's the way I'm going. That's the way I'm going, man. Totally. After Endgame follows Doomsday. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I was never really fearful of Dr. Doom. So too sharp for me, and always loved the Blackmagic look. Yeah, I think that's sort of been one of the biggest crux that I've heard from everybody that shoots on the latest Lumix cameras, is that because there's no OLPF on those, it's like the sharpness really comes through, and that's always been, honestly, a Lumix thing that's kind of bothered me. It bothered me about the GH6 to a lesser extent. But I know when the GH5, that was a thing that always bothered me about the GH5. It's one of the things I love because the GH5S was such a low megapixel count. You didn't have that like crazy sense of sharpness. And even with something like the Pyxis 12K, even then it's detailed, but it's not. It doesn't have that digital sharp. It just feels really detailed, which is like what I want when I'm looking at a camera like that. I just want something that gives me detail, but I don't want something that just feels digitally sharp or digitally enhanced. And I felt like Lumix has that way. Now, obviously, there are ways around it to where you can work around it in post, and you can sort of knock out a lot of that features, because I did it all the time with the GH5. I did it all the time with the GH6. You can get it out, but it's just an extra step that I don't necessarily want to take. So, favorite lens of 2025. Okay. So, okay, wait. Is my favorite lens of 2025. Does it have to be a 2025? Does the lens have to be released in 2025? Because then I'm in trouble. Because I don't think I've used any lens that came out in this year. If it's not this year, it's just like, what is my favorite lens that I've used? I will be honest. Where is it? It's right here. My favorite lens that I've used this year. It doesn't come out this year. It's this guy. It is the Dulens. You won't be able to see it, but this is the Dulens 31 millimeter T2.4. I love this lens. I absolutely love it. It's a full frame lens. It very solid, very great build quality design. Has just the amount of dampening that I like in a cine lens. It's not too fast. I know some people that may knock that and say it's not really fast. 2.4 is fine. Usually I don't like shooting anything lower than a T2, so it gets me close to right there. But the biggest thing I love the focal length because it's such an odd and unique focal length that there's not a lot of camera manufacturers that make these. But the biggest reason why, and it's going to be the thing that I know it's going to upset a lot of people. The biggest reason why is because the minimum focus distance is like a foot. The minimum focus distance is like a foot and a half. And I know it's 1 foot 3 inches. So that's the minimum focus distance is 1 foot 3 inches. And I know a lot of people are going to be like, that is not close enough. That's not enough. And my argument to you is that, hey, you have almost every other lens in the world that has very short minimum focus distance. The real reason why I love that is because it puts most of the focal throw 2 feet and beyond, which means that the lens can isolate or detect separations of foreground and background of subject and background at greater varied distances than most. Because I will be honest, that's been the biggest problem for me with lenses, especially is the fact that they use so much, because most, especially most cinema lenses are not linear. They throw so much of the focal throw from like under a foot to 2 feet. And then when you get to the part where, when you tend to shoot, humans, like right now, I'm shooting on the Carl Zeiss Batis 40 millimeter on my Sony FX3. And that is about 3 feet away. This is about 3 feet away from me. Now, granted, it's a 40, so it's going to have to be a little bit farther back. The point I'm trying to make is that even with a 31 or a 28, like the DZO, I think here it is, like the DZO 21 millimeter that I have right here. The shortest focus distance is 11 inches, but before you get to, it takes like almost half of the throw before you get to 2 feet. But even with this, I'm going to be at least 2 feet away. So if I was to try to have some back and try to play with some distance, there's not a lot of wiggle room right here. This is the difference. This is the difference between affinity and 2 feet. That's the difference. It's not that much. Whereas here, the difference between 2 feet and infinity is that's way more distance to travel, which means there's more isolation. It's also incredibly light. I can throw this on a gimbal. And I've actually just shot for the doc that I'm on. I've shot. I use this on a gimbal. The only thing I don't like is the contrast is sometimes a bit too low for my liking. especially when you pair it with the DZO Vespids, you really notice that there's quite a bit of contrast difference. So that's my favorite lens of 2025. If I have to take of the favorite lens that I've used so far, that's my favorite. I will say though, again, I want to throw in the Anamorphics, the Loawas, but I've only had them for like 3 days, so I can't justify just putting in this camera. But that 42, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. The 85 is beautiful. The image out of this is just beautiful, and it has that it still has that anamorphic feel to it. So those are again, none of these are like lenses that came out this year. So let's go back here. Blackmagic iOS is a dream to use. Yes. Do you think if I bought a Sigma 35-1.4 as a secondary lens for my Pixel 12, would that be a mistake? I know it's primary photography. Why would it be a mistake? The only thing I would say is, like, do you like the look that the lens produces? That should be the only thing that decides. Do you like what the lens produces? I love tight focal lengths. I love 135 millimeter. I love it. It gives, especially if you find one that doesn't, particularly one that isn't as clinical with its bokeh, because clinical bokeh just, it looks too linear. Like there's like you could see the lines of the bokeh forming. I've noticed that with some of the clinical photography lenses that I have, especially with some of the Sigmas. I like it. I like the bokeh, the almost, like I said, I want the bokeh, like the subject in the background are like not like you're not, you know in the iPhone that you, or I don't know if Google, I haven't been on iPhone or Google in a while, but you know when you go for a phone and then you click on a subject and it just isolates that subject. That's how I feel about a lot of photography lenses. It's like it feels like it just isolates it, and it strips it from the world. But in motion pictures, we're trying to insert people into the world, so it just feels weird to just pull people out of that. Obviously, if there's like a serious moment in a serious conversation, or there's something dramatic happens, or if there's some arc that is happening with the character, yeah, you want to kill, and you're having a moment with the character, sure, have some isolation. But even then, the fall off shouldn't just be like, it's me. This is a personal opinion of mine, in terms of filmmaking. The fallout shouldn't just feel like you're ripping him right off of the page. It should still feel like the world is there, and the subject is still in the world. The point I'm trying to make is, there's not a mistake with what is there to make a mistake with 105? If you like the lens and you love the lens and how it looks, use it. There are tons of, you don't need to shoot super wide. There's a ton of filmmakers, a ton of famous DPs that their widest lens is 40 millimeters, or it's like, or 30. Like a lot of them play with, I mean, if you look at some of Sergio's spaghetti westerns, I mean, those are some definite deep telephoto lenses that he uses. So don't feel bad, man. If you love the lens, shoot it. If Panasonic was to go without an OLPF in the S1R3, S1R2, then it should have gone with the A7R5 sensor. All right. It's not. I don't have a feeling about that either way, but cool. The footage of Blackmagic is nice. I can't get past the look of the camera bodies. Yeah, I mean, look, the cinema cameras are not the prettiest cameras. We all know that they're not winning any fashion awards in terms of design. And look, the Ursas, yeah, not heavy cameras. I think the Pyxis personally, I think the Pyxis as a body is everything that I've wanted in a camera. And I personally love the design of the Pyxis. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. But everything is perspective. So it's all just about, does it work for you? Yeah, Pyxis design is beautiful. Sigma wins the year with the 300, the 600 f4, and the 135 f4. Not, again, I haven't tried any of those, so I can't say either way. Sony has been killing it with lenses too. Yeah, look, yeah. But that is one of the other things I don't like about Sony, is that if you want to get all of the features from Sony, you have to use their lenses, which, look, and also, this is not something that's exclusively Sony. Canon does the same exact thing. Most of them do. It's just Lumix is different. I think the only ones that are different are like Lumix, because the whole point is that everybody in the L-mount alliance share the technology. So, I'm just start off moving away from photo lenses, because I'm not really, especially the more clinical photo lenses. Now, if you're a photographer, or you really love that crispiness, then hey, more power to you. It's just, I've slowly realized that I don't like that look. I love the look of the Do lens, or like city lenses like this or the Vespids. You know, I really love the look of those. Pyxis is solid. I will tell you that, King. I have my OTI in Melvis. Otis and Melvis lens set. I'm curious to get some Batis for the ZR. The Batis are nice. They're personally, I'll just say this. I haven't tried, I think it's the 21. I haven't tried the 21, but obviously I own the 40 and I own the 85, and I did rent out the 135. I'll be honest with you, I don't like the 135 Batis. In terms, that is one where, like, I know I complain about minimum focuses be too short, but that one in particular, because look, it's a telephoto lens, I feel it does feel a bit too, the minimum focus, this is too short, because I don't feel like I'm isolating the subject, especially when I was doing like, I was filming weddings and I was getting the decor. When I was doing decor, I had to step back way too much to my liking, and I was getting more in the frame than I want with that 135. Again, wasn't a fan of it, and also was heavy, and it was loud. So wasn't a fan of that one. The 40, I love the 40. Absolutely. It's my favorite. And the 85 is awesome as well. If you're looking at the Batis, again, I can't speak on the 21, but the 40 and the 85, love them. Sometimes when you can't isolate a set, then you need to blur out the background. L-mount is restrictive on who can join, but once you join, you get access to everything. Yeah, I think that's the big advantage of the L-mount, and I know that's probably why Blackmagic went with it, because it just, I mean, look how fast they've improved the autofocus. I know if they probably went with Sony or Canon mirrorless systems, they probably would not be where they are with the autofocus right now. So it's curious. But yeah, I guess that is the big advantage. I wish there was more stabilized lenses. I just wish there was more stabilized lenses. It's the thing that I've been begging, not Lumix, but just Leica and Lumix, but it's like, please put out some good stabilized lenses. But now that Viltrox is joined, hopefully Viltrox can put out some affordable stabilized lenses that could be tried out for. Though I will say this, even though I haven't tried any of their lenses, the ones that caught my eye the most in terms of cinema lenses that came out this year were the were the Infinite series lenses from 7 Artisan. And also, I'm very, very intrigued by the fluoro lens, the 37 fluoro lens. It's not something that I would obviously use on every single project, but when there's something where you want to hit that certain feel, there's a passion project that me and my sister are working on right now that I feel that fluoro will be like ideal for. So, but that Infinite series, it feels very similar to the Vespids, except I think they're faster. But based on some of the videos that I saw, the Infinites look really nice, and they're the same. Right now the same price as the Vespid originals, so around that $800 per lens, and they look really nice. I was trying to get 7 Artisans to see if maybe we can try it even out for a loaner, but they were moving kind of funny, so it is what it is. But I still would be interested in trying out that floral lens, that purple lens that just came out. Yeah, there's a lot of great lenses that came out. You got the Chaup, what's it, Chaup? I think that's how it's called. You got them that came out. You have there's a lot of interesting lenses. Sigma also was. I don't know. I don't know if Sigma wins. I don't know if Sigma wins with their Cine lenses, Robert. Again, look, if you're looking for that type of look, so you know what you're getting with a Sigma. Look, you know what you're getting for the Sigma lenses. I just don't know if their Cine lenses are worth. Just given the fact that a lot of their Cine lenses have a lot of the same optics as their photo lenses, I don't know if they're like, obviously you got the production management. If you got the right budget, they make it. I'm just like, but Sigma lenses are also very clinical, which again, if that's what you want, more power to you. For me, I'm looking that. I still feel DZO had some great lenses. Obviously, DZO has their Vespid 2s that came out this year. So I think the Vespid 2s give Sigma a run for their money. I think the new Nisi, I think it's the Orioles, the Nisi Orioles. I think they give Sigma a run for their money. There's so many great lenses. There's so many great lenses. Just like there's so many different great cameras, there's so many great lenses. But I think was there anything else that I wanted to talk about? We did our camera of the years. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it. Maybe call it soon. Hey, Kadeem, thank you, man. Thank you for joining. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to sort of wrap it up because I think we sort of covered everything that with 2025. It's been a great year for cameras. It's been a great year for lenses. The opportunities that come. I think honestly, what has impressed me the most is lighting. Even with the key that I got right now, I got with the 400X. This thing has really, really impressed me in multiple ways. I just used it like run and gun. I took it out in an event and be able to where I can move it. And I used it for some interviews. And man, the way this thing just makes your subject pop, especially when you combine it. Because I know one of the big negatives everybody talks about is the fact that the throw is not as the throw angle is not as wide as typical and it doesn't fill up typical soft boxes. However, if you get one of the air tubes, GVM, this GVM air tube is awesome, and it's only $55. But it's a 4-foot air tube that basically creates a 4-foot softbox, and it's perfectly designed for something like the Aperture 400X, because all you're doing is shooting it through a tube, and you're just bouncing, and it's bouncing it in and bouncing back out. So you don't have to worry about filling out a giant softbox, and it's a 4-foot air tube. So it gives you almost similar throws as like I would say 120 millimeter softbox. 120, yeah, 120 millimeters. That's about 4 feet. Yeah, it gives you like 120 millimeter softbox, and it compresses so down so nice and neatly. It's so much easier. Anytime I bring this out, this bad boy, everybody asks me about it. Now, obviously, there's the light bank version. I think the light bank is like $85. But what I checked, at least when I checked on Amazon and around, with that light bank, you don't get an air pump. You don't get an air pump with the GVM, which is, from all I can tell, from everything I can tell, it's essentially they're roughly the same product. There isn't that much difference. But with this, you get an air pump with the GVM. It's only available. The GVM is only available on Amazon. In fact, let me see if I can find it. What I'll do is I'll put a link. I'll put a link for you guys. Let me see if I can find it. Because I remember talking to GVM and asking them about it, and they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, here it is. Yeah. So, let me get the link. I'll put this in the chat. If anybody wants to do some Christmas shopping, again, it's pretty inexpensive. You get the tube and everything. It's an amazing light, and it also, in a weird way, saves so much space, because the cool thing about it is, typically with lights, especially with a large soft light, you got to put the light like offsetted or in something like this, and then you got to have that big soft box and aim it this way and shoot it through. It's usually front facing. Whereas here, you can have this off to the side and have it up. And one of the most amazing things about these tube modifiers, whether it's from Lightbank or GVM, but one of the best things about this tube modifier is that because it sits up and it sits high up, if your subject is like standing in eye line like this and they're not like looking up, if they wear glasses, you don't see the light in the reflection. That was one of the most amazing things. It's like we did like 6 interviews at this event. Almost every single one of our interviews, for some reason, was old. It was like 50 plus, and they all were wearing glasses. And outside of a few that were just looked up in some spots where they were just like looking up, there's no sign of the light on the glasses, which has always been such a pain in the butt to deal with whenever when you're trying to light a subject. It's always trying to light people with glasses. And this just takes all that. And it's also, it can be a catch light, because as you can see right now, my eyes, it's got my eye light really well. I absolutely love this. It's $60. So yeah, definitely check it out. Again, it's only on Amazon, but absolutely love this. I love this device. This has been basically my go-to key light since I got the 400X, which was like, what was it, September? Yeah, I think it was like September when I got the 400X, and then I got this tube light. So ever since then, it's again, the only thing about this tube light, the only drawback I feel about the tube light is that there's a bit of a drip because of how wide it is, and the latch is not fully, you can't fully tighten it to like hold it in one point. It tends to sag, but all you have to do is just tilt the light up just a little bit, and then you're good to go. It's called, it's a very generic name. It's the GVM 43-inch or 110 centimeter inflatable foldable air. I don't really know what it's just called the GVM, I would say just look up, again, I got the link. I put the link in the chat. So if you guys want to check it out, I put the link in the chat, Bill. But so if you want to look at it, but it's like, it's just, I would just look up GVM Air Tube Modifier and it will show up. But yeah, it's only $60. But in terms of lighting, like lighting has been one of the things that has amazed me. Like you got the 400X, you got they announced the 700X, the Ray series, the Amaran Ray series. I know Aperture and Amaran are no longer, they're officially not the same company anymore. But the Amarans are those Ray series. I want to get that 120C because like even now with the 400X, I'm only at like, I think like 7%. Like this right now is just 7%. And I would just like to have the 120C just to have something that's a little bit in terms of a light to be compact ready. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it has a fucking. Do I have a lot of C-stands? Not anymore. I used to, but I got rid of quite a bit. Kadeem, I realized that, you know what? I'm charging my clients equipment anyway. I might as well just get a grip truck. I might as well just get a grip truck and just when I need it, I'll put a grip truck. Because grip trucks are, especially here in Philly, grip trucks are not that expensive. Their day rates are not that expensive. So it just makes much more sense. I still have 2 C-stands left, mainly for like my boom, one for like my boom mic, and then if there's a need for, if I really need a heavy modifier setup, I got that C-stand. And then, but really I stick to combo stands and really not even a lot of combo stands, but a few combo stands and then light stands because everything is so light now because how lighting has just gotten smaller. But yeah, I think lighting to me, I was hoping that we would hear more about that Viltrox adapter that basically turns any cinema lens into an autofocus lens. But looks like we're gonna have to wait till next year to hear more about that. So hopefully, I was hoping that would come out sooner, but that's fine. We got some time for that. But I think that's going to wrap it for this evening. I'm going to call it. I got my daughter. I gotta go back and take care of. I want to thank you guys for joining me on this final stream of next year. I'm still going to be putting out videos on the channel during the holiday, but I really hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, all the holidays, and have a Happy New Year. And hopefully, I know for me, at least 2025 was a bit slower. Things are looking promising yet terrifying at the same time for 2026. But I'm going to, as always, I'll try to push through things in a positive note, but always planning accordingly. But thank you guys for joining me. I look forward to seeing you all in the new year. And as always, until next time, or in this case, until 2026, take care, everyone.